Well, hello. Welcome to Real W Talk. I'm Erin.
I'm Candace.
And I'm Ricky.
Ladies. I am so excited to be with you. I'm so sorry that I missed our regular meeting, but I was away on that business trip this past week. So, one, I want to know what the conversation was at our regular meeting, and I guess we'll go around in a room around our turn here. Who's up first, Candace?
Well, you'd have to start with Ricky for that one because I was at my grandma's 90th birthday party.
That's right.
So I missed the meeting as well. So Ricky, fill us in. What did we miss?
Ricky, you held down the fort this time.
Yeah, I did. So it was a good meeting. We talked about midnight snacking and ways to prevent that late night eating, and came away with some good discussions about just distracting yourself or closing the kitchen, just different strategies that have worked for different people to just get on track at night and not let the day slip away from us. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good because I think that may actually play in a little bit to what we're going to talk about
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
A strategy that's probably going to feel maybe a little hard to somebody, but it's an effective strategy. So before we dive into that, how was your week, Ricky?
Well, so it was not the best. I think I let stress get to me and made choices. I will say I was proud of the choices I made for breakfast and lunch. And dinner continues to be a challenging time for me, especially just on the way home, different options of things to pick up. So that was my downfall this week. So I was up and I decided to just say no to myself a little bit this weekend and turn it around before the end of the weekend. So I was proud of that choice too.
Yay. But you picked it up and you didn't continue it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's always a win. That's always a win to stop the train before it derails too far. What do they call it? The horse, to get it back on the horse.
Get back on the cart. Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm thinking of the horse before the cart. I'm like, or the cart before the horse. I'm like,
cart before the horse, something that I've always heard people say. They always, they say I've fallen off the wagon.
The wagon.
That's
there it is.
So we got back on the wagon.
There you go. It wasn't the train or the horse, it was the wagon. One of those things.
Getting off track. That's where the train comes in.
Yeah. What about you, Erin? How was your week?
So obviously I didn't weigh in because I was away I was in Detroit, first time ever visiting Detroit, and was surprised that it's only an hour flight from Baltimore. So
really?
Yes. Like it took less time to fly to Detroit than it does sometimes traveling the Beltway. Like,
wow.
What is that? So I had Thursday, Friday, and Saturday where I really wasn't in control of food. And with the food allergy piece, I had that anxiety going into it, but I had already been to my health food store and had purchased some prepackaged things. Like I had some muffins, not like the greatest things, but when you're trying to fly, you can't take anything liquid with you and all that jazz. So food was definitely a struggle, but the really cool thing about this hotel, which I so appreciated, they had gluten-free and dairy-free items marked on the menu. And they only had one gluten-free, dairy-free actual meal. Like I knew I could order it and be completely fine. The other ones I had to do a little request, some work on. And then there was food that was already in with the conference that we were doing. And so what I ended up, because I couldn't eat the food that was there at the conference, but they did have a salad. I actually asked the person who was kind of attending the room if I could get a piece of salmon to go along with it and no butter or anything like that, because, no dairy, just making sure they understood. And so pretty much what I ate while I was there with garden salad and salmon. So right, with the balsamic dressing, you really couldn't go wrong on it.
I mean, if you didn't stay within your points, you didn't even have to really track that.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
Because you're on blue, right?
Right.
Salmon 0.
Yeah.
Garden salad 0. Balsamic vinegar 0.
Right.
No points.
Is nothing.
That's impressive.
I know. So I did weigh in when I got home, and last week when we talked, I was like up. It was like weird, like the 5 pounds. Like I said, what is it? Like every 4 weeks, it changed. There's like this gain. So I was down the weight that was the gain, and another pound on top of that. So
awesome.
I haven't officially logged it, but I will tell you guys, I'm getting really close to the 10-pound mark lost from August, from the beginning of August.
Yay.
Yes.
So exciting. You know what I heard as wins though? I love your assertiveness. I love the fact that you were able to assert yourself and say, look, this is what I need. You know, it's not even about the restrictions that you have. Sometimes it may just be that you don't want something, you know, and you need to be able to assert and say what you want. So I love that you did that. That's inspiring for me because sometimes I'm a little timid and a little reserved in saying what I need when I'm at restaurants. I'm like, I don't want people to make a fuss. I don't want to be the problem, you know, customer, but you got what you needed and had a wonderful trip. That's great.
It was great. And, you know, the other part of that too, for me, when you talk about like the assertiveness was, this is fuel. Like we're doing a part of this conference and I'm on this team where we're making plans and dreaming big things up. And I need to think. And when you're hungry, I don't know about you guys, I get hangry and then I lose all patience. I lose all kindness. And I'm like, I need nourishment. I need this food for nourishment, not just because I need to eat. So that was my thought, was like, I need brain food right now.
I think that shows growth too, in a way, because we were just talking last week about travel and things that you're excited about for, you know, when you go to new locations. And I know having an allergy throws a wrench in that for you, Erin, but at the same time, you could have said, I'm going to find a gluten-free whatever Detroit is famous for. And, you know, you chose to do the opposite and say, no, I may be in a new city, but I need to do what's best for me to get me through these days. So kudos.
And I never left the hotel either. And I will say we went to, so this is kind of a cool thing. So if somebody is in Detroit and they decide to go to the club level for a Detroit Tigers game, they have a buffet and it's a gorgeous buffet, like incredible. And they do have everything marked. If it's gluten-free or dairy-free, it lets you know what some of the allergy pieces are. The only problem is they didn't have anything that was gluten-free and dairy-free. So what I ended up, I'm watching all of my, you know, cohorts around me eating just the most luscious looking things. And I could eat the hummus and I ate the cauliflower, cherry tomatoes. They had honeydew strawberry and grapes and a plain salad. And I will say I'm grateful for the plain salad because a lot of times when they have salad in the bowl stuff, it usually has croutons or cheese on it. And so it was just the vegetables. So it was another, consider it a vegan meal here. But, you know, I was a raw vegan, so I can handle this. But so it was, you know, at least there was food at some point along the way. So anyway.
But to Ricky's point, and now I really want to know, what is Detroit known for? Did you figure out what are they known for?
Yeah, it's a Coney. They call it the Coney dog or the Coney Island dog, and they also have Detroit style pizza is another one. It's another big thing, but we'll talk activity. This was a fascinating thing. It's called Fowling, Fowling. And it's bowling, but instead of bowling, you use a football and you aim the football at the pins and you knock the pins over with the football.
This sounds like another country sport.
So it was so fun. I didn't go on that particular trip with everybody, but they were showing me pictures and video because we all thought it was fouling or like, what is fouling? No, it's fowling. It's bowling with a football. So
I'm telling you, the things that when you're only in your area, you live in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and you only know here, you're like, right. Things are so normal to other places.
Duck pin bowling is like, what's that? Right. And it's just a smaller bowling ball, a little bit thinner pins. I was
going to say, I know I know that.
Yeah.
But fowling is brand new.
That's brand. Yeah. It was wild. All right. Enough about me. Sorry. Candace.
Well, I didn't weigh in this weekend either because I was, again, at my grandmother's 90th birthday. She had a parade in her honor, a little drive-by. I call it a drive-by parade with the cars going by and saying hello. And I think I did very well. I was really worried being around family because I made a post on our Facebook page that sometimes when I'm around a lot of family, there's food police. And I was worried because I I'm usually one who will internalize statements. But surprisingly, the whole focus was on grandma. I had my cake pop in peace and no one
Yay.
said anything. I ate it, but I did eat it aggressively. Like I wanted to make sure it was known that I was going to eat this. So I think I was daring people to like say something. So I was up with, but it turned out really well. I did step on the scale when I got home and I was down 2 pounds. So again, keeping with the travel theme of me losing weight, whenever I'm traveling,
Right.
it's just not a problem. I don't know what it is, but I'm very grateful for it. I am walking a lot. The food we went to Williamsburg, Virginia, which is somewhere where we go all the time. I know the places. I know what I like there. And, it was just a nice time with family. I was able to enjoy the people and not make it so much about the food, except for the cake pop, which was important.
I want to rewind real quick because, like you said, that going into this, you were prepared for the food police to come at you and internalizing. What had you already prepared yourself to be able to say and do to handle that if it were to come up?
I chose to not be combative. I really wasn't going to be. I said I was going to scream, it's a lifestyle change. I can eat whatever I want. But instead, what I was going to say is, no, this is something that's a part of it is a part of my life right now and something that I plan for. And I appreciate your concern, but I'm good. And it's more my grandmother and those in the kind of more elderly generation that sometimes don't have a filter. I don't know if you all have experienced that in your family. They just don't have a filter. They say whatever comes to their mind. And
frankly, I'm looking forward to being that person when
Yes.
I'm 90.
Well, yes, except for I don't want to be like, she'll say stuff like, I got my stomach sitting up here like I got a 9-month baby in me. You know what that feels like. And you're like, hold on 1 second. Please do not relate me to you at all with that statement because I'm concerned.
Yes, Grandma. Yes,
That's
Grandma.
grandmas. And everybody gives them a pass because they're older.
Grandma's only saying what the rest of us are uncomfortably feeling and thinking. And there's a reason why we have the pillow.
Yes. Yes, you have it for grandma's house because she will call it out. But in the most loving of ways. So that's what I was prepared to do. But thankfully, the focus was not on me. The focus was on the party. And that was great. So I was proud of my week. I was proud of my choices. And, looking forward, I always bring up my step bet. I'm in my last home stretch. I got 5. I'm in week 5.
Yes.
So we can almost
Get
see
it,
the
girl.
end.
Get that
Yeah.
money. Have you already started doing the mental calculation of how much you're going to win?
Well, someone who's in my step bet is doing that. And every day they're like, good morning. We've won another 40 cents. So I think we're close to $4 now. So.
Sorry, Colby and
Very nice.
Cheryl. It was great having you part of us, but
Darn
bye.
it, Jane Doe. You'll get it next time. So.
So Candace, you did post something that I thought was really just straight down the line, kind of hard, like things to think about as we're doing this. And I'd love for you to share what you posted this morning because I thought it was so great.
Yeah, so I actually follow a financial page and I don't have a personal struggle with finances, but some people do. And there was a post that was made that was trying to encourage people with finances that I actually internalized and made it about my weight loss journey. And I took out anywhere that said money and put weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it over and I said, this is kind of genius. This is hitting me more than it should. And I shared it on the page and it seemed to resonate with others. So what I said was, you will not get it together and make perfect choices after your week restarts on your weigh-in day. You will not suddenly make it happen because it's the first of the month. Dagger in my heart. Sorry. You will not lose weight if you consistently overeat and don't move your body. You will only lose weight when it becomes an emotional priority. Understanding how to lose weight isn't hard. Doing it is. You've got to decide that your future is worth more than the thing you want right now. Saying no to things you don't need means saying yes to your future.
Ooh.
That last part alone, saying no right now is saying yes to your future. It's so simplistic and it's so honest, but it's something that I know, but I don't actually practice, because I don't like saying no to myself. And I was just sitting with, what is it about saying no that
Mhm.
bothers me so much
Mhm.
in my
What
current
is it?
journey. The 5-year-old that I've discussed in other podcasts, the 5-year-old that doesn't like to be told no, who has a temper tantrum with having to stay within boundaries, who wants her way. And I think that I have found the benefit in the excessiveness and the what I consider to be a benefit in not saying no, which is the immediate gratification. Because a long term isn't there's no immediacy right there. I have to wait for it. And I don't like to wait. Like,
Mhm.
And the challenge too is even when you wait with weight loss, it doesn't mean that it's not like there's some exact formula to say, okay, I ate exactly perfectly this week. I tracked everything. I'm going to lose exactly 2 pounds. Like, no, you have those weeks like Erin was sharing, where it's like I did everything right and by the book and it didn't show up this week. So I think that's a challenge too. You don't know what you're going to get when you're going to get it. But I know that we see those graphs of weight loss and it is hill. So I think if we can look at the big picture and see the long-term trajectory is going down, then, maybe that'll help.
but what about you guys? Do you all, when you're in the moment and you're faced with a choice, whether it be, am I going to have the piece of cheesecake? Am I going to go to the restaurant instead of eating my home cooked meal? Do you all feel that struggle? And how do you all combat the feelings of, I want to do this now, and kind of pushing that to the side, sitting with it and being able to see the long term? Because the long term just seems so far away.
Mm-hmm.
It feels far away, because what's the future? Is the future next week? Is it future, 2 years from now? When am I going to see the result that's going to make this wait worth it? To your point, Ricky. So do you all struggle with that?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I mean, for me, like I'd said, I've got my goal right now so I made it through this trip. And now the next goal is June, when I've got my next conference. And it's keeping that goal in mind of those individual things. But even back to what we talked about a couple weeks ago about identity, the habits that are forming the identity. And I lost sight of the identity that I wanted, just because of everything that's happened in the past, last year, and especially, gosh, this year. I didn't realize that 2020 was the warm up to the horror show, but which I'll keep saying that God has done some big things in me and working things out that have been necessary this past year. But it's the first where I've started to feel like me again. And the choices that I'm making are the choices of me, of that identity of healthy Erin. And so now I'm looking at it through the frame of the next goal and trying really hard to look at through the frame of that identity of who healthy Erin is. And that's not to say that I don't struggle with, like, I've got a couple places that I can eat out at. No question. Those are easy places. And I already know, going into where I am today, I had Saturday night, I had Five Guys, and I had some French fries with with my burger in a bowl. I had a cookie yesterday or Sunday because it was my niece's birthday, right? And then I had an unusual lunch today. And so in my brain, I'm like, okay, we've had a lot of unusual things that we've been eating that aren't a part of the plan. And so from this point forward, we're going to be doing the plan. It's what are the healthy habits that I want to get me to my next, weigh-in for Saturday, where I'll feel really disappointed if I don't hit this, and it's all within my power to change right now. Like, do you ever get like the warning sign in your head? Like,
Yeah.
don't ignore the warning sign. The gaslight, gauge, that warning sign comes up for a reason. Every now and then I'll just go, boop, forget about that and push through it. But right now I'm trying really hard to obey that signal. So that signal's up for me right now. And I'm only partway through the week here.
Mhm. Yeah, I can relate to what you're saying. Definitely. For me, I think it's a huge challenge and probably one of my biggest ones going along with all the other mindset challenges. That impulse control. I do like I have an inner 5-year-old similar to yours who doesn't like, an only child on top of that, who doesn't like to be told no. And I don't like saying no to myself. And I think I tell myself a lot of lies. And I know we talked about that, I think, very early on. And I'm trying to condition myself out of that. But the things I tell myself, like, it'll be okay. You can have that, slice of cake on a Friday and it'll be fine. Or you can have, and it's this whole mental battle. And I lately have been losing it a lot. And I think, Erin, you hit the nail on the head with losing sight of my why. And I think almost feeling, to be honest, a lack of faith in myself, like a lack of faith. Can I do this? I don't see it. I don't visualize it anymore. And I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to do that. But it's hard because I think I've lost that faith in myself.
Well, and when you're not seeing results, you're not seeing progress, you're not seeing anything, it's hard to believe in it. It's hard to believe because all you've seen all along has been nothing. There's been no change. Ricky, what I did was I went 4 weeks. 4 weeks. I'm just going to do this for 4 weeks and let's see what happens when I dig in deep, and no excuses, saying no to myself even when I don't want to say no. Because part of that too is, which we've talked about before, is like, the brain pathways, right? Reworking the brain pathways, but even then just how your body reacts to certain foods that you're used to eating. Your brain's telling you we need more of this. And it's got to get to that place where the switch is turned off. And I just went, can I do this for 4 weeks? I'm doing this for 4 weeks. Dig in full force.
I think also remembering that it's like a muscle that you're developing. That's what I'm trying to tell myself. Like, sometimes telling yourself no, it's practice. Like, you have to say, it doesn't feel good if you haven't really exercised that no muscle in a while, because you're like, well, I haven't done this. I'm used to just going past the boundary. Having a son, having a child has been really eye-opening with that. He wants to touch every electrical socket and he finds ways to endanger himself on a daily basis, right? So I have to find ways to creatively tell him no, but the answer is still no, because it's going to kill you. So you don't really have a choice here. The
answer doesn't understand it.
But I think if I were to relate that to myself, because I don't feel like the repercussion, like, I'm not really going to die. But I'll never forget when my aunt passed away. She had a stroke, and she was later on. And the doctor, when he told us about what happened, what he said this wasn't an immediate event. He said, this is something that had been developing over time with her habits over time. And I'll never forget that when he told me that in the ICU, that this is not the result of some sudden thing. This was a lifestyle that she had, that she kept. And when you think about it that way, it may feel like you saying no is not that big of a deal right now, but it is, because as you develop that no muscle, you don't know the impact that it's going to have on your future. That thing that you're able to control, what the boundaries are for you. I think I've viewed, as I've said before, boundaries as bad, boundaries as punishment, instead of boundaries as something to keep me safe.
Right.
My son sees me as trying to stop him from touching the very, very attractive socket that he's very excited about. I know that will have a result that could kill him or really injure him. So that reframing, I think, is something that I know I have to do, because it could strengthen my resolve to say no if I didn't view it as punishment.
Boundaries are not a restriction.
And I think sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but some of the foods that I eat when I'm truly really doing the plan, I don't know if I've gotten to the point where those foods are, I don't want to say a reward, but are something that I truly enjoy eating. Like, I've always been a very picky eater. So sometimes it almost feels like oh, I'm doing this, I'm eating like all these vegetables that I don't like, or whatever it is. It's a challenge to reshape my thoughts about those foods. Like Erin, you saying that those things are fuel. Me hearing that is like I would have felt like I'd be with being tortured. So I think taking away those years of food as a reward, and the types of foods that are rewards are just not healthy foods.
Let me ask you this. If you could just start from scratch today, right? And forget the past. Forget everything that's been said to you. Forget about the egg rolls. Candace likes to eat an egg roll, and forget about all of those, everything that you know. If you were starting fresh today, what would you be sitting down fresh to eat and to do? Because to me, that changes the mindset of how we look at these things.
You mean like if I sitting down fresh with a healthy meal or a meal that's
Yes.
planned?
Yeah. Would you look at a plate that has like a pretty piece of salmon or chicken and some sauteed vegetables and maybe like a pat of goat cheese alongside it? And, thinking about what, like, if you guys are Green Plan, right? But like, let's say a 10 Smart Point meal in Green Plan, which is still that's a good meal. Let's bump it up to 13. Would you look at that and go, I feel satisfied by this? Like, this is the type of food that I want to eat? Or do you look at that and, like, if you're starting out fresh, not tied to anything, does it feel like a deprivation?
I don't think so. No.
See, there's a part of me that thinks that it's comparison that is the issue. It's because we're comparing this healthy meal to some other kind of meal that gives us joy in a short term. Right.
I think I can see where you're going with that. My issue is a bit different from Ricky's. So trying to kind of relate it to what you're saying, Ricky's, from what I'm hearing and can understand too, is maybe the types of food and saying, I feel like when I'm having to be on plan or doing well, I have to eat only these types of things, and those things don't bring me joy.
Yeah.
Mine is the amount. And I've shared that before. I want to eat to excess. I don't like the boundary of 1 cup of rice. I want 2 or 3. I don't want half of a burger that would fit into my points just so nicely. I want the whole burger and the fries.
I support you in that. A whole
Thank
burger
you.
with the fries is anything less is just
Thank
not
you.
living.
And then when people give you the suggestions to make the burger lower point, you're like, I don't want 99% fat-free beef or whatever. I want 85-15, and I want it from Five Guys, and I want it, and it's 19 points, and I want the mayonnaise and this, and I don't want the boundary. I just don't want the boundary. And that to
I hear
me,
that, and I think that's okay. I don't see why you can't do that.
it is okay, but I can't have for every meal. I can't have go over. So in the world and the things that you've brought up, Erin, that are just so right. Okay. I just want to give that. I want to preface that it's so right when it's like, guess what you could do? You could plan on Thursday to have your caramel ribbon crunch frappuccino, and you could even have it venti. You could just plan for it. That's great. But I want it today, and I want Jersey Mike's. And then I also would like pizza for dinner, and I want 3 slices. I don't want the boundary.
Yeah.
So it's not, and I know what it is to eat the fresh food, and I'm not necessarily upset with the food that I make when I'm on plan. I like my food. My son likes my food. He was tearing up my red peppers. I made baked red pepper. What is it called? Stuffed peppers. He loved them. Amazing. I'm like, yeah, if I'm going to eat them, I want all 4. Why? So that's what I don't know how to make work, because whenever my week restarts, the boundary is there because I cannot. There's no plan where I can eat to the amount that I want to eat. And I don't even really know why I want to. I think it's just I don't like to be controlled, even by a plan.
So that's where that whole message resonated with you of sometimes you just need to say no to yourself.
Sometimes you just got to say, I love you, Candace. I'm sure you do want to eat all 4. You're going to have one and you're going to be fine and you're going to track it and you're going to be an adult, because sometimes you need to be an adult and say no to yourself.
And have you found that when you've done that, that later on in the night, you're like not feeling hungry or deprived or anything? Or
I
are
throw a
thinking
temper
about it?
tantrum until I close my eyes. And when I wake up in the morning the next day, I am super proud of myself. The
Okay.
next day, I feel great. So proud of myself, but I go to bed pissed off.
Poor David.
He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, good night.
She's like, I
With
can't
my
have 4
points.
stuffed peppers.
I was like, I've eaten in my points. Okay, here, look, I got 2 left over. Good night. That's horrible,
Good
right?
night.
Fix me. You all can't fix that. Come on, Erin. What's the solution? Ricky, fix it.
Listen, the just say no. I mean,
I know.
I feel like though, so that's how I felt when I was like just 4 weeks. Just 4 weeks, right? And it's like the right?
Mhm.
But it started to rework the framing in my head. It started to redo the wiring where that feels way
Mhm.
less now. Like my mom came home with the Oreo gluten-free double stuffed Oreos, right?
That are how many points?
They are 6 points for 2 cookies, 2 double
Not-
stuffed cookies,
Not the other way around.
not the other way around. And if this had been me last year, well, I would have eaten 2 and then I would have gone back and gotten another 2 and been like, okay, well, that's it. And I probably would have gone back later that day and eaten 2. And even though I may not have eaten 6 cookies at once, I still ate 6. At the end of the day, it all adds up. And so this time around, when my mom brought them home, I'm like, okay, I'm doing 2, and I need to pick and choose when I'm eating them. I can eat them with lunch and then eat none at dinner, right? Because like dinner, you want a little bit of a sweet thing, and I'm like, no, I'm going to eat these at dinner. And it was saying no to myself that I'm not going to eat them at lunch and eat them at dinner, which to other people, I know that sounds so ridiculous, but it really was like this mental struggle in my head that you're not going to eat 4 cookies today. You are eating 2 and you're going to pick where you're going to eat them. And it was like, but like you were saying, Candace, you've got to say no to yourself.
Mhm.
But can I just add this? Because we have all, again, had those times where we lost a significant amount of weight. One thing that I found to be true is that once I can get to the point where I say no to myself. And then I start to get addicted to saying no. Oh,
Yes.
I know how to be on the other side of it.
Right.
When I am feeling empowered in my journey and the weight is coming off, it's very tough to get me off track when I don't want to be. You could put, I'm going to say it, cupcakes in front of me. I'd be like, absolutely not. Not right now. I said, maybe I'll have one next week. Like I am the poster child, and it's not even me joking. Like it's just my muscle is so strong that that desire for what I want is so strong, and it motivates me. But getting there when I've been off track, trying to get that thing going, it's like trying to start a car, that it's like the engine won't start. And I'm trying. That's where I feel I am sometimes.
And it doesn't happen overnight. I think that's the thing that we all know. It's literally all of those baby steps, Ricky, like you were saying earlier, it's that the hill, but it's like this, this kind of thing. It's all of those pieces that are put together. It's not happening overnight. And it takes that each decision. And, the hard part with us, with what, dealing with this is we have to face this multiple times a day. It's not like another addiction where you can just say, no, absolutely abstinent. No, not doing it. You have to eat to live. And it's trying to get our living to eat underneath of control with it.
Yeah,
and we're faced with the temptation multiple times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I feel horrible comparing myself to, because I told you I work in the field of addiction, and I want to be like, you want to talk about addiction? You're piddly cocaine. You don't understand. Food is horrible.
I mean, everyone's got their thing. I mean, not to say it's different. It's that I can't say that I know what that addiction is like, but I know what this addiction is like.
I just feel so proud because, like Erin said, I do have to say I have to eat every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm faced with mine every meal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a decision to not give in to that addictive behavior.
And everyone's a peddler. Like
Yes.
everyone brings food. Everyone shares their food with everyone. Like it's everywhere. It's not like you just have one dealer around you. You've got everyone around you is a dealer.
And they
Is
get
it?
offended if you don't eat their food. They get
Yes.
offended. They're like, you
Yes.
don't want any more cake? And you're like, oh, I mean, yes, I do.
Mhm.
I don't want to hurt your
It
feelings.
is. Oh, well, now I made this special for you, so you're not going to eat it?
It's always
Okay.
special. It's always the
It's always
special
special.
thing.
It's always
Mhm.
special. But no, I appreciate you bringing that up, Candace, because I think this goes along with what we've been saying. We got to do hard things, and we can do hard things. And, maybe for somebody who's watching and listening today, the hard thing is I just need to make it through another meal. And it's just continuing to make it through the next meal and saying, maybe it is saying yes to something, or maybe it's saying no to something else. Maybe it's saying yes, that I'm going to add another vegetable. Maybe I'm going to add a vegetable to today's meal. I've also learned something too, that the fewer items that I have that are what I would call life-giving foods, like fresh fruits and vegetables and, meats and that kind of thing, um, the more my cravings get out of control and I'm not drinking water. So, and I want like chips and I want like breads and that kind of stuff. But if I am making sure that every meal has a good piece of meat, some kind of a vegetable, and a fruit at the end of it, I feel completely different. I don't know. Test me out on it. Try me
Mhm.
out on it and tell me seriously if you notice that your cravings go down or if things change, but it is a complete difference
I know what
for
you're
you.
saying to be true, so I don't even need to test. I know that that's absolutely true.
Yeah, I've tried that too with like South Beach things in the past that are low carb. And once I've gotten to a state of like actually being consistent with that, I know it does eventually get better.
Yes. But listen, when we get done, there's still those gluten-free stuffed Oreos, and I'm eating 2 of them tonight. They're part of the plan today.
That's awesome.
Which I
Yeah.
love, by the way, which is why we picked the plan that we picked.
Right.
Because we can have those and it's not like, what? You're
Right.
going to go off plan today? No.
No. Okay, well, pivot right now. Speaking of like getting help on the plan, like we've talked before, that we feel that the meetings are crucial for us because we get to think about these kinds of things and talk about them with peers. And of course, we've got our online meetings. So we've got a coach. I actually picked today. I was attended her meeting a little while ago, and that is Marianne B, who I believe her Connect handle used to be Spinwich. Does that sound familiar? I think she goes by Marianne
Does.
B now because she's, a coachy coach on there. But like she's super fit. She's a fitness trainer. But she struggled and she's lost from what I remember, a very significant amount of weight. So she understands it. I just thought her meetings were super welcoming. She was a great leader, really thoughtful, answering questions, helping people think through issues and problems and such. So here's her workshop schedule for you to take a look at coming up. She's actually got quite a few on Saturdays, Sundays, and Wednesdays. So that's Marianne. Then some awesome Real WW Talk news, some things that we are planning. Candace, why don't you take this one?
Well, as you all know, I am a step better. I have loved Step Bet since I found it. It's been a super motivating way for me to get my steps and to increase my activity because I was very sedentary. And the ability to challenge myself to walk and to get steps has been something that's been life-changing for me. So I was chatting with the ladies and I said, oh my goodness, a lot of the people on our Facebook group and just people have come up to me and said, what is Step Bet? I really would love to do that. And I said, why don't we do a Step Bet for the holidays coming up? Because we're getting into that season where everything is about food and we start to really get a little concerned about our activity because it's going to get cooler out. And I said, what if we held a step bet? So they thought it was a great idea. So we are going to host a Real WW Talk step bet, official step bet that is going to take us from Thanksgiving to Christmas. So it's going to start in the month of November. For those who are currently in a step bet, have no fear. You'll have time to finish yours. But we're really excited about it. We'll be able to share a lot of motivational tips and just talking. It's a community. You have your own board. So we'll be posting in there. All three of us are going to do it. Everyone's very excited. Mm-hmm.
I did ask Candace if we could do a shorter one because I'm like, I don't think I have a 6 or 8 week in me. Just give me.
So it's going to be 5 weeks. We'll do 5 weeks. We will motivate each other. We will all make it. In the words of High School Musical, we are all in this together. So I won't sing, but
this is one case where doing it 50% of the way is not going to work. You got to be 100% in on it.
and don't worry about it because the steps are based on your own personal goal. So it's not like everybody has to hit 10,000. They're going to look at your average based on whatever fitness watch you use, or I think they take like the Fitbit, Apple Watch, Apple Health, the different things to kind of give you your own individual score. So we'll explain more to come, but I just wanted to put that plug out there that we are officially going to host a step bet coming this November. So stay tuned for more.
And there may also be an element of dressing up for a turkey trot. So we're going to have our step bet overlap with a turkey trot. So I know we've got people all over the country, all over the world who listen. So will be an opportunity for us to find local ones in our area, but to be able to, as our community, have some that we can access and share our experiences with as well. And we may have some fun outfits that may be turkey related.
Ricky's picking our outfits. We're trying to rein Erin in because she may have to do the official turkey. Ricky refuses, just so you know.
Listen,
I will not
I have the full turkey costume that I am very willing to wear.
She's means it, guys. No, I'm serious. Like this outfit is serious.
I'm not playing. I'm a full turkey.
Yeah.
But I've got to lose about another 10 pounds because she's a little tight in the hips. So
would make sense for the holiday. You're stuffed turkey.
About to get shot, stuffed, and put on a table, man.
Well, Ricky's going to rein us in, so we're going to have some tutus and some other things that are not quite turkey.
Yeah.
I love that reining us in means tutus. That honestly.
No, nothing too fancy. We're just going to have some tights and tutus.
That's reasonable.
I think so. It's very reasonable. Well, that's it for us. We wish you a great week and maybe a challenging week, challenging yourself to say no to yourself. Maybe that's just the message that you need to internalize right now, like the three of us, and hold on to and do some thinking about, but even more like maybe just saying the words, right? We say that with love because we're saying it to ourselves too. And daggone it, we're going to be successful at this daggone thing, aren't we?
And if you need us to say it, no, put it down, stop, get out. Yes. You've heard it from all three of us.
That's right.
Go.
I love it. All right. Have a great week. And we'll see you next time on Real WW Talk.